morning, it's Mike Bowen, and the Rules Embassy is now open. Today it is the 10th of October here in Japan, so it is late in the evening or sometime late in the afternoon on the 9th of October, wherever, if you're in the United States and watching this. And once again, before I get into this, I'd like to ask you, if you like hearing or finding out more about rules and maybe some variations on what happens if you race outside the United States, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button and pass this information on to your friends. Remember, I don't always talk about World Triathlon focused rules or Japan Triathlon focused rules, but also what happens with the USA Triathlon sanctioned events, all right? So this morning what I want to do is I want to talk about starting protocols, start line protocols for triathlon events, all right? So this last week, 2 weeks was the Ironman World Championships in Kona, and in years past, watching that big honkin' mass start with thrashing bodies all over the place, it's a fantastic spectacle in sport, and I don't think we have anything like it in any other sport. And to see from a view of a helicopter, it just looks like a massive surge of humanity there, and I'm sure it's probably even crazier if you're down there on a paddleboard, trying to sit in the middle of that start area and doing stuff. So I did a video a couple years back on incidental contact as an answer to a question whether triathlon was a contact sport, and that was pretty much my illustration of proof. It's like, yes, triathlon is in a way a contact sport. So as I said, the mass start is a thing of beauty for photographers and spectators, but when it comes to race officials and staff, it's a logistical nightmare, okay? It can get quite dangerous at a large race in transition if you get a massive pack of participants coming into transition out of the swim, grabbing their kit and heading out to the bike mountain line, which I'll talk about the mountain dismount line probably in a couple of weeks here, and some of the protocols for that. And then of course it all leads to massive packs of people on the bike course. So anybody who's done enough time on the back end of a motorcycle enforcing the draft knows that the biggest fight is how do you keep packs of bikers from forming, not just because it's relatively unfair to the folks that don't get into a pack of bikes and can't use the benefit of the draft, but also the potential for accidents on the course at certain points from occurring. Somebody fails to pay attention, gets fatigued, and bumps into a wheel, and then the next thing you know, you've got something reminiscent of the Tour de France going on out there, right? So how do you look for that? Well, so if you're looking at the realm of risk management, you're looking at how can I control stuff as early on that keeps packs of bicyclists from being end to end out there on the highway, especially if you have a really, really flat course, kind of like Ironman Panama City is just a great example. So where can you control? Well, you can always think to the left on the spectrum. You start going, well, is there something I can do in transition? Nah, probably not. Is there something I can do with the swim? And you go, well, yeah, if I'm a race director going, yes, I can. I can make sure that there are protocols other than a mass start of every athlete out there. And it's because if you find a way to string out all the athletes on the bike course, or even at the start in the swim, you don't have that massive humanity at choke points out there, and less experienced triathletes don't freak out quite so much. It's like I know when I tried to do Ironman Florida in 2011, it was a frightening situation there. And so there are several ways that you can spread the swim start out. Okay, the first and the most common for smaller races are wave starts. And USA Triathlon sanctions, when you see a sanction document from USAT for an event, usually they'll ask race directors to set waves of no more than 150 persons. for their events. And you can divide these up by age group, by weight division, the Athena, Clydesdale type stuff, or gender. I've seen Ironman distance or half iron distance events where they put in like 40 to 44 male, 45 to 49 female, in separate waves, just to keep everybody, keep the race relatively fair within those groups, and starting everybody off at precise intervals between the waves, depending upon your swim course distance and all that good stuff. So all the relevant organizations I tend to refer to, once again, such as the Japan Triathlon Union and World Triathlon, whose rules are almost completely congruent. World Triathlon, I mentioned them. USA Triathlon and the World Triathlon Corporation. For those of you that don't know when I'm talking about World Triathlon Corporation, we're talking Ironman. They all have fairly congruent rules when it comes to start protocol. So if a wave start is used for an event, an athlete who starts before their assigned wave, let's say I'm in wave 5, 60 to 64 year old males or something like that. If I decide that, I want to go out with the 60 to 64 year old females because I'll go out the wave prior to that. If I go out with them, that is a disqualification. If you start before your assigned wave, you're disqualified from the event. Now, an athlete can start at a later wave than their start wave. USAT Rule 3.4, Mike, talks about wave starts and what can and can't be done. World Triathlon Rule 4.7 says you can start later than your start wave at the discretion of the start official if you have a wave start for an age group events. Okay. So hopefully everybody's still following with me there. Rolling starts. I'm starting to see a lot of that, especially here in Japan, because they have smaller swim venues or smaller start areas, and the area may be too narrow to provide all the athletes a fair and safe start at one time for the swim. So the roll start can either be at a predetermined time, like every 5 seconds or every 10 seconds for a group of up to 5 athletes, or a continuous rolling start where you may have 2 athletes going off every 3 seconds or 2 every 5 seconds. We did so. If that rolling start is used and the time is predetermined, once more, the athlete can start after their time slot on the approval of the start official for World Triathlon events. If they start before their time slot, it's a disqualification. Once again, fairly confusing. Best thing I can tell you is if you get into a situation where you have a rolling start event, find out how the specifics of the roll is, and don't go earlier than you're supposed to. If you have any other questions on triathlon rules or our life in Japan or how triathlon is different here perhaps than the States, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask me questions. Once again, please share these videos with your friends if you like them, and let me know if there's anything you would like me to answer or talk to. If you can't find it from somebody else out there in the world, and I can be reached on Facebook at www.facebook.com/USAT Rules Guy or Gmail